Earnestly Podcast coming to you November 23rd, 2021. I'm actually recording this outside. Of course, it's just Thanksgiving week, so my kids are home for school for the entire week. So, unfortunately, anything content-wise I do has to be based around them and based around their schedule. So, for example, when I do my Football's Awesome episodes every week, most of those times those segments are done during the day when they're at school. But unfortunately, because they're home for the week, but because they're home from school, those 2 hours I get in the afternoon to do those segments are limited now. So I did one piece of the segment was with Mikey B, doing power rankings, but that was mainly because of the fact that segment is only the shorter of the 3 segments I do. Well, 4 segments I do at the show. So I'll just try to get it in. Plus, he works at nighttime, so I can't really do it at night. So it's either we do it with the distractions and see what we can make out of it. But the other 2 segments with Zach and Kyle, I have to do it at nighttime. So I'll do it when I go to sleep tonight and record those. But I've also committed to doing this also every day, at least 5 days a week. In the same way I used to do it back a couple years ago. Whether or not I sustain doing that going forward, we'll see what happens. But there's so much stuff going to talk about on a day-to-day basis I want to get to. So the way I could do that is to continue doing this podcast daily, 15 minutes, 20 minutes a day. If you can find time to do the things you love, you just do it. It may not be the best quality at times, not being in studio to do it, but at least I can still get the content out. So right now I'm actually outside with my 4-year-old and my 8-year-old at the playground. I'm actually walking around the tennis court here right now while my 4-year-old gets the energy out. So I figured let me just do this while walking around. Hopefully the quality is good enough. It is Thanksgiving week. I am thankful for many things, but I am not thankful for the New York Giants right now, who are now 3-7. They lose last night in embarrassing fashion to Tampa Buccaneers. What was it, 30-10 last night? Final score, I believe it was. Whatever. The Bucs covered last night. Doesn't matter. And yeah, I've seen enough. It's the Daniel Jones era. I think is about to be over. I think it's time for the Giants to I'll say it again. David Gettleman's got to go. And all those things. And I hate saying that because I understand I'm someone who preaches stability and that you need to see these things through, but you don't see this team getting better. You don't see any progress. And then, yes, I know they had the injuries and all that, but you don't see this team getting better. And at some point, it just is what it is. The New York Giants, for better or worse, have probably sold their souls to the devil for beating Tom Brady in those 2 Super Bowls in 2007 and 2011. And I'm definitely thankful for that. But at the same time, we have been literally one of the worst football teams in the last decade. We made the playoffs 1 time. I think we've had maybe 2 winning seasons in that time frame in 10 years. At some point you're just a bad team, and we can sit here and talk about the culture of the Giants and this and that this team has won the 4 Super Bowls, and yeah, that's cool and that's fine and dandy, but it's over. It's over. This regime change, we've done it before with Jerry Reese and, of course, the final days of Eli Manning. And now we got to do it here now with Daniel Jones and David Gettleman. And Jason Garrett's been terrible. He has done nothing for this team. This team was dead last in the red zone last year. They're second worst this year. It's just bad. Bad football all around. In an era where offenses, even bad offenses, still seem to thrive week to week. This team can't. So, excuse me. It's over. So I expect the Giants to clean house. And honestly, this falls down on ownership too. Tish and Mara. Steve Tish and John Mara. Ultimately, it falls on them. Ultimately, they've been very conservative in the way they do business and hiring, and It has cost them. It has cost them potential good talent. You know, they've been hiring Pat Shermer and all these guys that really just aren't really nothing really. You know, these GMs that are not very progressive in the way they think about football. I'm not talking about progressive towards politically. I'm talking about progressive towards just football. And at some point, you need to take some chances here. And the Giants, you know, go after Eric Bieniemy. Go after guys that, you know, may not have experience, but at the same time, you know, and I'm not saying Joe Judge should be fired either. I'm not saying this is only year 2. This is really the first normal year. You know, I'm not suggesting Joe Judge should get fired, but, you know, something's got to change. And typically, I'm not normally the guy that's always wanting change for the sake of change. But at some point, you got to do something. This team cannot be as bad as it has been the last 10 years. That is ridiculous. You know, the history of this franchise, you know, especially in the NFC East where it hasn't really been that great year to year. You know, you can't get any headway there either. It's just embarrassing. I know it's Tampa. I know they were going to lose last night. Them losing last night was not a big surprise. It's the way they lost. And the thing is, the worst part is they had opportunities to make the game interesting. Had a chance to take the lead in the game a couple times in the first half. And they just couldn't do it. So this team is, to me, done for. Get new GM in there. Get new blood. I mean, if you fire Joe Judge, whatever, I don't care at this point. But I'm just over it at this point. NBA talk. LeBron James officially got a 1-game suspension for that fight, the elbow, heard around the world. I didn't touch on this in the last podcast, but, you know, the big Lakers Pistons brouhaha where LeBron James, the free throw line against Isaiah Stewart, extended an elbow, which caused Isaiah Stewart, who, by the way, himself got 2-game suspension for escalating the situation, trying to fight LeBron James, who was covered in blood. I kind of don't blame Isaiah Stewart for feeling the way he felt. You know, when you taste your own blood, especially too in that situation, you know, you're going to feel some type of way, and I get that. I mean, he could have obviously tried to de-escalate the situation. So I don't necessarily disagree with the ruling here. I mean, I probably would have given Isaiah Stewart 1 game also too, only because of the fact that it wasn't like he hit anybody. It wasn't like he made contact with somebody. He's trying to chase out LeBron James and company. I mean, he didn't de-escalate the situation, but at the same time, he didn't hit anybody either. So I think if both guys go 1 game suspension, it'd be fine. But yeah, but LeBron, he intended to do that. Let's get real. I love LeBron James, but he intended to do that. You know, it's a bad look. I mean, I am surprised that doesn't happen more often in the league, though. You see elbows being thrown, all that. But anyway, I mean, yeah, LeBron gets another game of rest, whatever. But it was ugly. I'm just glad we didn't see a Mouse and Palace situation more than anything else. I mean, that could have been bad. And go figure, it was in Detroit too. It is in Detroit, not in Palace anymore because the Palace no longer exists. But just you know, but it's been, you know, Lakers in general have been pretty mediocre this year, to say the least. So anyway, what else I have on docket here? Major League Baseball yesterday released a ballot, and there's 13 new names on the ballot. Names including one, Alex Rodriguez, who made it for the first time. Well, we have an idea who's going to go.
The red bat.
Red bat? Okay. I don't expect him to get in on the first ballot, obviously. He's obviously had a little bit of a turnaround, a PR turnaround in the last 5 years. Him doing TV and, you know, and broadcasting, and maybe that helps him. I mean, certainly a better response to him today than, say, Barry Bonds was responding to in his final years being involved in baseball. And Barry Bonds still has not gotten the Hall of Fame, obviously. I think he deserves to get in anyway, regardless of steroids. I think I hate to be honest with you, I think everybody was on the juice, and that if you're going to judge it that way, just shut the whole damn thing down. There's no point of trying to play, you know, tit for tat. I don't think A-Rod will get in the first ballot, but we'll see. We'll see what happens there. I think the only names I saw was Tim Lincecum was also on that list. Who was pretty good for a couple of years, actually, in San Francisco. But we'll see. I don't know when they're going to have the final tally. Maybe middle next year, I guess. I'm not sure exactly when. Next summer, I think. So we'll see. I guess we'll find the results in months' time. So, what else? So, I did manage to finally watch Survivor Series yesterday at home with my kids. I thought it was a good event for the most part. I mean, I'm not big on Survivor Series because of the fact that it doesn't really push storylines. You know, it's pretty much a brand supremacy thing. Raw versus SmackDown, the whole nine. Which I'm not necessarily against. And I think when I watched it yesterday, it didn't necessarily bother me. I thought the match itself was pretty good. I thought the opening match, of course, with Becky and Charlotte was amazing. And it got me thinking too, really, because there's been a lot of things in dirt sheets recently about those two and about how Charlotte has been not getting along with people in the locker room, and that Becky's been very vocal about that, and you know, and the whole thing when they did the towel exchange when both women were drafted to different brands that had to change belts, and the way that went down, was it a work, was it a shoot, was it just something, whatever. And then you see, they had the match on Sunday night, and it was a great match. Obviously, it worked well. They're both very professional. But then you see this interview with Becky after the match, an exclusive interview you can see on WWE.com, where she's talking about, how they used to be best friends, and she's literally crying, like being very emotional about it, and now that she hates her, despises her, and all that, and and I don't know if this was a work. I don't know if this is something just to hype up, something in the future, or was it used to hype up this match. But it got me thinking though too, also that Becky and Charlotte, because clearly they are probably the two biggest women right now in all of women's wrestling right now, and have been probably for the last couple of years. Certainly Charlotte's been well decorated as a champion. Becky is has been over the last couple of years since winning the title WrestleMania 35. She's arguably was the biggest, most popular wrestler on the entire roster, male or female. But it got me thinking too that Becky and Charlotte, if this stuff is true, there sort of should be maybe some blurred lines here, but they are this generation's Bret Hart, Shawn Michaels, where Bret Hart and Shawn Michaels were great friends, and then as they were the two top guys in the WWF at the time, there were some blurred lines there. Shawn Michaels has his issues. Bret Hart, of course, being very prideful and all that. It reminds me so much of HBK and Bret Hart. And, of course, HBK and Bret Hart came to a crescendo at the Montreal Survivor Series in 1997, where Bret Hart was screwed by Vince. Shawn Michaels initially lied about knowing anything about it, and then later on saying that yes, he knew about it and all that, but he couldn't say anything. But the point is, like, these two, good friends, and now they're, supposed to be their enemies. Again, I don't know if it's a work or a shoot. A lot of people think this is real. Shaw Flair's been very complicated too, as well, this year alone. You don't know a lot of the things she's going through. Now there's rumors about her and Andrade may have broken up now. Her fiance Andrade was now in AEW, that they broke up. Who knows? It's a lot of stuff going on, that you don't know what's real. And I guess that's good in a sense, because it adds more intrigue to the product in general. But, I don't know. If you look at it at face value, you think this stuff between Becky and Charlotte is real. And I could believe that too, to be honest. I could believe that's a real thing. So, but it's something to look at, man. It's something to... obviously, they're both on different brands now, so they won't obviously touch each other for a while. But who knows? Maybe you can see a Becky Charlotte WrestleMania match just cause. You can write it into the program anyway. And with the WWE right now restricting their rosters by releasing people left and right, there's no telling if the brand split will still exist at this time next year. So who knows? But at least with Becky Charlotte, I will say, people said that we could tired of seeing them in the ring. Clearly, the rivalry still has a lot of juice left in it, whether it's real or not. I'm sure there's some jealousy between Charlotte towards Becky, because Charlotte has been pretty much been number one for a long time, and Becky comes in, takes the title, and Charlotte, I don't know. There's probably some real jealousy there. I don't know. Is it a work? Is it a shoot? Who knows? Anyway, last thing. I didn't watch Raw last night. I'm going to watch it later today, but staying on wrestling, of course. However, there was a fan. The video came out. I saw last night on Twitter and Instagram. There was a fan that, I guess, went through the barricades doing Seth Rollins' promo at the end of his promo, and Seth Rollins was walking up the ramp, and some fan decided to come and attack him. Luckily, Seth Rollins was okay. He was able to get control of the fan, and the security came into the fan now and got arrested. I initially thought it was a shoot at first. I thought that was actually something they worked into the storyline. Seth, I think Seth has beaten wrestled Finn Balor or something like that. But seeing Seth and how angry he was calling him boy and saying you motherfucker and all this stuff, and which, by the way, kudos to Seth for keep his composure, to be honest with you, because if that was me and I was in his shoes, I don't know what I would have done. I would have split that boy, two ways to Tuesday. You don't do that. I don't give a shit who you are. I don't care how much you're into the wrestling and whatnot and what was real to you. There is no reason for some asshole to be going through the barricades and, attacking a wrestler like that, especially blindside like that. That could have been even worse. I mean, as bad as that looked, that could have been a whole lot worse. I'm sure they'll show it on TV at some point when they put on the Peacock and all that. But, what a piece of shit. What a piece of shit by that guy. Coming in there and just doing that to Seth Rollins. I don't care for what reason. I don't care if you're drunk. That guy should be allowed to any arenas ever again. That could have been a situation that could have been dangerous. He could have seriously injured Seth Rollins. Because the fact that Seth Rollins didn't even see the guy, he came blindsided. Seth Rollins is a world-class athlete. And he handled it well, all considering. But that piece of shit needs to not be at any event. Forget wrestling, any event with crowds like that. Like, who does that? And I hope WWE, and whatnot, prosecute to the full extent of the law. So, anyway, that's it. I've walked a couple of laps around the tennis court. For the most part, you hear my son in the background yelling at me, saying, "Dad, Dad, Dad." So, I'm going to go spend some time with my kids, as it is Thanksgiving week and whatnot. We're gonna have a bunch of podcast episodes dropping this week. I am planning on doing the Fake Question Real Answers podcast also tonight as well too, and dropping that probably either tomorrow or Thursday, Thanksgiving, guys. So, but I may just drop a lot of this stuff next 2 days and then go dark for the next 4 days after. So we'll see what happens there. But until then, I'm on Twitter at E7. Of course, we're podcast, all podcast catchers. Like I said, we're going to be upping the content as we've been doing the last couple of weeks. And thank you guys for downloading. Thank you for streaming. Thank you for, supporting this podcast. Of course, as well as my YouTube page as well. My YouTube page as well, too, at Earnest Christian. Until then, we'll talk soon. Love you guys. And stay positive and enjoy your holiday week. Later.